The war room of the starship Eternal Dawn was silent. 50 officers from different worlds sat around a massive table, but no one spoke. They were all looking at the holographic map floating above them. Red marks covered the map like wounds. Each red mark was a dead world. Admiral Park stood at the head of the table. He was 62 years old and he had fought in many wars, but he had never seen anything like this. The Void Swarm had come from the dark spaces between galaxies, and nothing could stop them. The Void Swarm was not like any enemy they had faced before. They were machines, but not like the machines humans built. They were ancient things older than most stars. They did not want land or resources or power. They simply wanted to eat. They ate everything. Planets, moons, asteroids, even the light from stars. When they finished with a system, nothing remained but empty darkness. The fleet strategist stood up and pointed at the map. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. But today, even she could not hide her fear. "In the last 30 days, we have lost 17 worlds," she said. 4 billion people are dead. The is gone. The mining colonies are gone, and the swarm is moving faster now. A representative made a sound of grief. His people had lost everything. His blue skin had turned pale, and his large eyes were wet with tears. "What about our weapons?" asked Commander Han. She was Admiral Park's second in command, a tall woman with a scar across her face from an old battle. "We used the antimatter bombs. We used the gravity weapons. We even tried the plague missiles." "Nothing worked," replied. "The swarm absorbs energy attacks. Physical weapons pass through them. Biological weapons have no effect because they are not truly alive." Admiral Park closed his eyes. He thought about Earth, his home. He thought about the blue oceans and green forests. He thought about his granddaughter who was only 7 years old. In 6 months, the swarm would reach Earth. In 1 year, humanity would be extinct. "There must be something," he said quietly. "There is always something." At the back of the room, a young woman was working at a communications station. Her name was, and she was only 24 years old. She had joined the fleet 2 years ago, right out of the academy. She was not important. She was not a hero. She was just a communications officer who listened to signals from space. But right now, she was hearing something strange. "Admiral," she said. Her voice was soft and at first no one heard her. She spoke louder. "Admiral Park, sir, I am receiving a transmission." Park turned to look at her. "From where?" "The inner colonies." Checked her instruments again. Her hands were shaking. "No, sir, it is coming from the hollow expanse." The room went completely silent. Every person, human and alien, turned to stare at her. The hollow expanse was the oldest part of the galaxy. Stars had been born and died there before Earth's sun even existed. It was a place of darkness and mystery. Many ships had gone there to explore. None had ever returned. Some people said it was haunted. Others said something lived there, something so old that it remembered the beginning of the universe. "That is impossible," said. "Nothing lives in the hollow expanse." "I am receiving a signal," insisted. "It is clear and strong. Someone or something is sending us a message." Admiral Park walked across the room to her station. He looked at her screen. The signal was real. It was not random noise or an echo from old transmissions. Someone was trying to contact them. "Can you understand it?" he asked. Nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. It is not in any language I know, but somehow I can understand it. It is like the words are appearing directly in my mind." "What does it say?" Took a deep breath. The message was short, but it changed everything. "It says, I have watched your struggle. Come to me, children of Earth. I hold what you seek." The representative stood up quickly. "It could be a trap. The hollow expanse has killed everyone who entered it." "Or it could be our only hope," said. She looked at the map again, at all those red marks. "We have tried everything else. Everything has failed. What do we have to lose?" Admiral Park stared at the signal on the screen for a long time. He was a careful man. He did not believe in miracles or ancient beings with magical solutions, but he also knew that his people were dying. Every day, more worlds fell to the swarm. Every day, the darkness grew larger. He turned to face his crew. These were good people, brave people. They had followed him through many dangers. Now he was asking them to follow him into the unknown. "I will not order anyone to come with me," he said. "This journey may be our death, but I am going to the hollow expanse. I am going to find whatever sent this message. And if there is even the smallest chance that it can help us stop the swarm, I will take that chance." He looked at the young woman, met his eyes. She was scared, he could see that, but there was something else in her face: determination, hope. "Prepare the ship," Admiral Park commanded. "We leave in 6 hours." The officers began to move, rushing to their stations. Somewhere out there in the darkest part of the galaxy, something was waiting for them, something ancient, something powerful. And humanity was about to meet it. The journey into the hollow expanse took 3 weeks. It was the longest 3 weeks of life. On the first day, the stars began to disappear, not because of the swarm, but because they were moving into a region where stars had died long ago. The darkness outside the ship was complete. No light, no markers, nothing but endless black. On the third day, the navigation systems failed. The computers could not find any reference points. They were flying blind. "We should turn back," said the science officer. She was a brilliant woman who had studied the mysteries of space for 20 years, but even she was afraid. "We have no idea where we are going." "We follow the signal," Admiral Park replied. "It is still transmitting. As long as we can hear it, we can find it." The signal was strange. Had studied it for hours and she could not understand it. It was not radio waves. It was not light. It was something else entirely. "It is like thoughts," she told one night when they were both too worried to sleep. "Like someone is pressing ideas directly into the fabric of space. I have never seen anything like it." Nodded, she understood what meant. When she listened to the signal, she did not hear words. She felt them. They appeared in her mind like memories that were not her own. On the 10th day, the dreams began. Sargent was the first to experience them. He was a big man, strong and brave. He had fought in 3 wars and had killed many enemies. Nothing frightened him. But that night he woke up screaming. "I saw the beginning," he kept saying, his whole body shaking. "I saw the first light. I saw stars being born. I saw everything." The medical officer gave him something to help him sleep, but the next night, others had the same dreams. Engineer Moon dreamed of civilizations rising and falling like waves on a beach. Commander dreamed of a great eye opening in the darkness, looking at her, seeing everything she was. Also dreamed, but her dreams were different. She dreamed of loneliness, a loneliness so deep and so old that it had no end. She dreamed of watching billions of years pass, seeing everything but feeling nothing. And when she woke up, her pillow was wet with tears. "Something is reaching out to us," she told Admiral Park. "It wants us to understand it before we meet it." Park nodded slowly. He had dreamed too. He had seen his wife who had died 10 years ago. He had seen his daughter as a child. He had seen everyone he had ever lost. And he had understood that the thing they were traveling to meet had lost much more. It had lost everything, over and over again, for longer than humans could imagine. On the 21st day, they arrived. There was no planet, no station, no physical structure at all. There was only a presence, a weight in space that the instruments could not measure but everyone could feel. The crew gathered on the observation deck. Through the windows, they saw nothing but darkness, but they all knew something was there. It was like standing in a room with your eyes closed, knowing that someone was watching you. Then it spoke. The voice did not come from speakers. It appeared inside their minds, clear and old and terribly tired. "I am the last witness," it said. "When your galaxy was young, I was already old. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. I have seen wonders that no longer exist, and I have seen the void swarm before." Admiral Park stepped forward. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his voice steady. "You know about the swarm, you know how to stop them." "I know many things. I watched the swarm consume the civilization that created them. I watched them sleep for millions of years. Now they wake again, hungry as ever. And yes, I know how to destroy them." Hope filled the room like light. Grabbed arm. Moon let out a breath he had been holding. Even Sergeant, still shaken from his dreams, stood up. "Tell us," Park said. "Please, we will do anything." There was a long silence. When the voice spoke again, it was softer, almost sad. "I possess the knowledge you need, a frequency that will unmake the swarm at their deepest level, but this knowledge has a price." "Name it," Park said immediately. "Whatever you want, resources, technology, we will give you anything." "I do not want your resources. I do not want your technology. I want something far more precious. I want a spirit." The hope in the room turned to confusion, felt a cold feeling in her chest. "I do not understand," Park said. "What do you mean by spirit?" "One of your kind must join with me. Their consciousness will merge with mine forever. Through them, I will feel what humans feel. Through them, I will care about your survival. Without this bond, your struggles mean nothing to me. I have watched too many civilizations die. I have become numb. I need a human heart to make me care again." The entity's attention shifted, felt it settle on her like a heavy blanket. It was looking at her, seeing her completely. "The choice must be willing," the voice continued. "I will not take an unwilling soul. Someone must choose to give themselves to me forever. Only then will I help you." No one spoke. The weight of the demand was too great for words. Somewhere in the darkness, the ancient being waited for their answer, and felt deep in her heart that it was waiting for her. For 3 days, the crew of the Eternal Dawn argued about what to do. Commander was the loudest voice against the price. She stood in the meeting room, her face red with anger, and shouted at anyone who would listen. "This is wrong," she said. "We cannot ask someone to give up their soul, their entire existence. Forever. Do you understand what forever means? It means never ending. It means being trapped for billions of years. We cannot do this." "Then what do you suggest?" asked quietly. She was sitting at the table with reports in front of her. The reports were not good. While they had been traveling, the swarm had destroyed 4 more systems. 8 billion more people were dead. "We go home and watch everyone die. We let the swarm eat Earth. We let them eat everything. We find another way. There is no other way. We have tried everything. This is our last chance." The argument went around and around. Some officers agreed with, others agreed with. Admiral Park listened to all of them, but he did not give his opinion. He was thinking about who would have to make the sacrifice. He was thinking about asking someone to give up everything. While the officers argued, walked alone through the ship. She went to the small chapel near the living quarters. It was a simple room with a few chairs and a window that looked out at the stars. Except there were no stars here, just darkness. She sat down and took out a photograph from her pocket. It was old and worn from being touched so many times. The photograph showed her family on Earth. Her grandmother, who was 83 years old and still made the best soup in their village. Her younger brother, who was 19 and studying to be a doctor. They were both smiling in the picture. Thought about them. She thought about what would happen if the swarm reached Earth. Her grandmother would die. Her brother would die. Everyone she had ever known would die. She thought about the ancient being's words. It wanted a spirit. It wanted someone to join with it forever. The idea was terrifying, to lose yourself, to become part of something vast and unknowable, to never see your family again. But was it really losing yourself, or was it becoming something more? The door opened behind her. Moon walked in. He was a quiet man, 26 years old, with kind eyes and gentle hands. He worked as an engineer, fixing machines and keeping the ship running. He and had known each other since the academy. They had studied together, eaten together, talked about their dreams together. Had feelings for. Everyone knew it except perhaps herself. He had never told her because he was afraid of ruining their friendship, afraid of not being good enough for her. Now he sat down next to her and looked at the photograph in her hands. "You are thinking about volunteering," he said. It was not a question. He knew her well enough to see the truth in her eyes. "Someone has to," replied. "And the entity looked at me, I felt it. I think I am the one it wants." "Then let someone else go, someone older, someone who has already lived a full life." Smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Who should that be? Who deserves to suffer forever less than me? Are you saying an old person's soul is worth less than a young person's soul?" "No, his voice broke. He looked away, trying to hide the tears in his eyes. "I do not want to lose you." Reached out and took his hand. His fingers were rough from years of working with machines, but his touch was gentle. "I have been thinking about my life," she said. "I always wondered what my purpose was, why I was born, why I joined the fleet, why I was assigned to this ship at this exact moment in history. Maybe this is the answer. Maybe I was always meant to be here to make this choice." "That is not true. Your life has value just because you exist. You do not need to sacrifice yourself to have meaning." "But what if I want to?" Looked at him with clear eyes. "What if this is not a sacrifice to me? What if it is a gift? I can save my grandmother. I can save my brother. I can save billions of people I will never meet. How many people get that chance?" Could not answer. He wanted to argue with her. He wanted to find the words that would make her change her mind. But looking into her eyes, he saw something he had never seen before. Peace. She had made her decision. Admiral Park came to see her that evening. He was a proud man, a strong man, but when he stood in front of her, he looked old and tired. "I cannot order you to do this," he said. "I will not order you, but I have to ask, are you sure?" Stood straight and met his eyes. "I am sure, Admiral, I volunteer." Park was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something he had never done before. He bowed to her. A deep bow, the kind given to heroes and great leaders. "Thank you," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Humanity will never forget what you are doing." "Please tell my family that I love them," replied. "Tell them I am not gone, I am just somewhere else." The next morning she would face the ancient being and give it her soul. She would become something new, something eternal, and she would save everyone she loved. It was not a death, she told herself. It was a transformation. But as she lay in her bed that night, staring at the dark ceiling, she allowed herself one moment of fear, one moment of grief for the life she was leaving behind. Then she closed her eyes and slept, dreaming of light. The airlock opened and floated out into the void. She wore a special suit that would keep her alive for a few hours. Not that it mattered. Where she was going, she would not need air or food or water ever again. Behind her, through the window of the observation deck, she could see the crew watching. Admiral Park stood at the front, his face hard but his eyes wet. Commander was crying openly, not caring who saw, had her hand pressed against the glass as if she could reach through it. And he was standing at the communications console, his hands gripping the edge so tight that his knuckles had turned white. His lips were moving. Could not hear him, but she knew what he was saying. "Goodbye, please do not go, I love you." She turned away from the ship and faced the darkness. At first there was nothing, just empty space, cold and silent. Then she felt it. The ancient being's attention wrapped around her like an ocean. It was everywhere, it was everything, and it was waiting. "You have come," it said. The voice was in her mind, gentle and old. "You have truly chosen this." "Yes," replied, her voice was steady. "I am ready." "Do you understand what will happen? Your individual self will end. You will become part of me. Your memories will remain, but the person called will dissolve like salt in water. You will be everywhere and nowhere. You will see everything but touch nothing. Is this truly what you want?" Thought about her grandmother's hands, wrinkled and warm, making soup in the kitchen. She thought about her brother's laugh, loud and free. She thought about his kind eyes. She would never hold these people again. She would never hear their voices in the normal way. But she would save them. That was enough. I understand, she said, and yes, this is what I want. The ancient being was silent for a moment. When it spoke again, there was something new in its voice. Wonder. I have existed for 13 billion years. I have seen 10,000 civilizations face extinction. Some of them made bargains with me. They brought prisoners or slaves or criminals. They forced unwilling spirits into my embrace. I accepted them because I had no choice. I needed the connection, but none of them gave me what I truly wanted. What did you want? Asked. A willing heart, someone who chose this freely out of love. You are the first. In all these billions of years, you are the first. The presence moved closer, felt herself surrounded by something vast and impossibly ancient. It was like standing at the edge of an infinite ocean, knowing that she was about to dive in and never come back up. Because of this, the entity continued, I will give you something I have never given anyone else. I will not simply absorb you. I will join with you. We will become partners, equals, two minds sharing one existence. You will not disappear. You will grow. Felt tears floating away from her eyes, tiny spheres of water drifting into the darkness. Thank you, she whispered. No human, thank you. The merging began. It started slowly, like falling asleep. Felt her thoughts expanding, reaching out beyond the limits of her brain. She touched the ancient being's memories and gasped. She saw the birth of stars, great clouds of gas collapsing under their own weight, igniting into light. She saw galaxies forming, spinning arms of fire stretching across the void. She saw the first life appearing on countless worlds, simple things at first, then complex, then intelligent. She saw civilizations rise. She watched them build cities and ships and wonders that made her human brain ache to understand. And she watched them fall. War, disease, disaster, the void swarm. So many endings, so much loss. And through it all, she felt the ancient being's loneliness. It had watched everything, understood everything, but never felt part of anything. It was like being a ghost, present but unable to touch. For 13 billion years, it had been completely alone. Until now. Reached out with her consciousness and embraced the entity. She gave it her memories, the taste of her grandmother's soup, the sound of rain on the roof of her childhood home, the feeling of his hand in hers, the pride she felt when she graduated from the academy, the fear and hope and love that made up a human life. The ancient being received these gifts like a dying person receiving water. It drank deep and did not stop. This, it said, and its voice was no longer alone. It was mixed with its voice, two tones blending into one. This is what I have been missing. This is why life is precious. Not because of knowledge or power or survival. Because of this, because of love. On the ship, the crew watched in amazement. The space around was glowing now, soft light spreading like dawn across the void. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was the most incredible thing any of them had ever seen. Then it was over. The light faded. His body floated in space, still and peaceful. She was breathing, but she was not awake, not in the normal way. The voice spoke to the ship, and now it was different. It was still old, still vast, but there was warmth in it. Human warmth. It is done. The one called is part of me now, and I am part of her. We are something new, and because of her gift, I now understand why you must survive. Here is the frequency you need. Use it well. Save your people. Data streamed into the ship's computers, the weapon they needed, the song that would end the swarm. Admiral Park bowed his head. Thank you, he said. We will never forget this. She wants you to know something, the voice replied. She is not sad, she is not scared. She can see everything now, all the beauty in the universe that she never knew existed. And she can feel all of you, your love for her, like stars burning bright in the darkness. She says this is not an ending, it is a beginning. The ship turned and began the long journey home. Behind them, in the ancient void, something that was both and not watched them go and smiled in a way that had no face. The eternal dawn burst out of faster-than-light travel, just in time to see Earth dying. The void swarm had arrived early. Thousands of them, maybe millions, surrounded humanity's home like a cloud of locusts. They were eating the moon. Great chunks of gray rock were breaking off and disappearing into their endless hunger. Soon they would start on Earth. The defense fleet was already destroyed. Broken ships floated in orbit, their crews dead, their weapons useless. Only a few dozen vessels remained, scattered and afraid, firing weapons that did nothing against the ancient machines. Admiral Park looked at the screen and felt his heart break. They were too late. "No," he said, and his voice was hard as iron. "We are not giving up, not now, not ever." He opened a channel to all surviving ships. "This is Admiral Park of the Eternal Dawn. We have a weapon, something that will actually work. Form up on my position and prepare to transmit the frequency I am sending you now." The survivors gathered, 73 ships from 16 different species, humans and others. They had been enemies once. Now they were all that stood between the swarm and total darkness. Worked furiously at her station, coordinating the fleet. Commander barked orders to the weapons teams, monitored the frequency, making sure it was ready to broadcast. And Moon sat at the main transmitter, his fingers poised over the controls. He had volunteered for this job. It felt right that he should be the one to send gift into the void. "All ships report ready, Admiral," announced. Park looked out the window at Earth, his home. His granddaughter was down there somewhere, probably looking up at the sky, wondering if she would live to see tomorrow. "The swarm is approaching weapon range," called out. 30 seconds. Park took a deep breath. This would either save everything or save nothing. There was no middle ground. "On my mark," he said. "All ships transmit the frequency. Pour everything you have into the amplifiers. Make sure they hear it." 20 seconds. Closed his eyes. He thought about her smile, her laugh, the way she tilted her head when she was thinking. He thought about everything he had never said to her. "I am sending your gift now," he whispered. "Save them, save all of them." 10 seconds. The swarm moved closer. The ancient machines that had devoured galaxies, that had erased civilizations from existence, that had seemed impossible to stop. 5 seconds. Admiral Park raised his hand. "Now." He brought his hand down, and 73 ships sang. The frequency was not sound. It was something deeper, something that touched the foundations of reality itself. It rippled through space like waves through water, and when it reached the void swarm, everything changed. The machine stopped moving. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the first one began to shake. Its form, held together by energy patterns older than most stars, started to come apart, like sand washing away in the tide, like smoke dispersing in the wind. The effect spread. One swarm unit, then 10, then 100, then thousands. They dissolved. They unraveled. They returned to the nothing they had come from. Across the solar system, across the galaxy, wherever the frequency reached, the void swarm ended. Billions of years of hunger, silenced forever. The machines that had seemed invincible fell apart like they had never existed at all. Listened to the frequency as it transmitted, and he heard something in it. A melody. A human melody, unmistakably human, woven into the fabric of the signal. It was. Her love, her hope, her sacrifice, transformed into a weapon that saved everything. On Earth, people looked up at the sky and watched the darkness clear. The things that had been eating their moon simply vanished. The stars became visible again, and for the first time in months, people dared to hope. Cheers erupted across the fleet. Aliens who had been enemies for centuries embraced each other. Tears flowed freely. They had won. Against all odds, against an enemy that had seemed invincible, they had won. But on the eternal dawn, there was also silence. Admiral Park ordered a moment of remembrance for. The crew bowed their heads, thinking of the young woman who had given everything so they could survive. Did not move when the moment ended. He stayed at his station, staring at the blank screen, feeling empty. Then the screen flickered. A message appeared, not standard text, not computer code, but handwriting. Handwriting, the same handwriting she had used in her personal journals. "I am still here," the message said. "I am everywhere now, in the spaces between stars, in the patterns of light. I can see all of you and I love all of you. Tell my grandmother her soup was the best thing I ever tasted. Tell my brother I am proud of him, and wait for me. Even eternity is not so long when you have something to wait for." Read the message through tears. He pressed his hand against the screen as if he could reach through it and touch her. "I will wait," he whispered, "forever if I have to." The message faded but smiled. She was not gone, she was just somewhere else, and somewhere else was everywhere. Admiral Park walked to the observation deck and looked out at Earth. The planet was safe. Humanity would survive, and they had done it not with weapons of war but with a single act of pure love. He thought about what the ancient being had said. For 13 billion years it had watched civilizations die. It had seen countless species face extinction, but it had never seen anyone like. A young woman who chose to give up everything, not because she had to, but because she loved. That was what made humans special, not their intelligence or their technology or their strength, their capacity for love, their willingness to sacrifice for others, their stubborn refusal to give up even when all hope seemed lost. The swarm had been ancient, the swarm had been powerful, but they had not understood love, and in the end, love had destroyed them. Park straightened his uniform and turned to face his crew. "Take us home," he said. The eternal dawn began its final journey back to Earth. Behind it, the galaxy stretched out in all its ancient beauty, filled with stars and worlds and possibilities. And somewhere out there, in the vast spaces between everything, a presence that was both human and eternal watched over them all. Had given up her individual life, but she had gained something greater. She had become a guardian, a protector, a part of the universe itself. And the universe, for the first time in billions of years, was no longer lonely.